Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first edition of The Warning Track. My name is Chris Day, alongside my co-host, Andrew Standish. And first things first, we're going to run down the current MLB standings as of this recording, which is June 6th, 2018.
Hello, everybody. My name is Andrew Standish.
I just told them that.
Shut up, you dumbass. All right, Chris, do you want to get us started?
We'll start off with the American League East, where the Red Sox and Yankees are... Oh, piss off. I'm a Sox fan. He's a Yankee fan.
Yeah.
Sox with a one-game lead in the division so far over the Yankees. Tampa Bay, Toronto, and Baltimore. They've pretty much already fallen out of it. Tampa Bay is the next closest at 13.5 out. Toronto, 15.5 out. And Baltimore, 22.5 out. And we'll get into more about Baltimore a little bit later. Going into the American League Central now, Cleveland with a 4-game lead over Detroit. Minnesota 4.5 back, KC 11.5 back, and the White Sox are 12 back, and they're only 12 back with 19 victories this year, so somehow they're still all in it. Out in the West, Seattle, a surprise this year, they are in first place with a 2-game lead over the defending World Series champion Astros. The Angels, who are off to a hot 16-2 start, are now just above 500. They're 5 games out. Oakland 7.5 back, above 500, and Texas 13.5 back. And now over to the National League. Andy?
So we've got the sorry about that. We're going to start in the National League East, where right now with the record, they're technically tied for first place. The Nationals just edging the Braves in winning percentage. We got the Braves and the Nationals in first and second place respectively, followed by the Philadelphia Phillies, who are just 2 games out. They're a big surprise this year along with Atlanta, but we'll get into that later. The Mets, who are pretty much a dumpster fire over there at Citi Field, they are in 4th place at 7.5 out. And the Miami Marlins, who aren't doing as bad as everybody thought they would. They're 21-39, which, I mean, it's bad, but it could be a lot worse.
It's still only a .350 winning percentage, but still. All things considered,
it could be a lot worse over there down in Miami. In the National League Central, the Brewers, not really too surprising. They picked up a lot of guys in the offseason.
Lorenzo Cain was one of them, wasn't he?
Yeah, Christian Yelich, I think they got to.
Yes, they made some big offseason moves.
They made some moves, but they're currently leading the division by a game and a half over the Cubs. And then after the Cubs, you got the Cardinals, the Pirates, and the Reds, the Reds are another team that very much are out of it.
Yeah, they are in rebuilding mode out in Cincinnati again.
Yeah. And in the West, another surprise is the Arizona Diamondbacks. They're in first place, a game over the Rockies, who are only a game above the Dodgers, and then the Giants and the Padres. But that division, Chris, can go any way. The whole division's separated by 5 games.
Yeah, even the Padres, who are 6 games below 500, only 5 games out, that division is weaker than I think everyone expected.
Yeah, they just added Phil Hughes.
They did, yes.
Yep.
So first, let's start with a couple notes. I just want to go with the standings. The National League East, some surprises with the Braves and the Phillies, who I don't think anyone expected to be really in contention at this point. Only Atlanta tied with Nationals, down by just winning percentage, and the Phillies only 2 games out. And then the Mets, who started the year, I believe, 10-1 they started.
They started off very high.
They are now 5 games below 500 and 7.5 games out.
I was talking to a buddy of mine, and the Yankees play the Mets this weekend.
Subway Series, yes.
Yeah, he says if the Mets get swept by the Yankees, he's pretty much giving up on the season.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea.
But the thing is the Mets, they're sending out their best 3. They're sending out DeGrom. They're sending out Thor, and who's the other one? I think Matz is pitching one of the games also.
Well, who do the Yankees have going?
Tanaka, Herman, and Severino.
Well, Herman, I don't know about that against if he's facing DeGrom, but
Severino's getting a win. That's all I know.
Hey, you never know. It's New York versus New York, so we'll see with that. Again, out in the West, the Dodgers, who were in the World Series last year, they had some injuries early on. I believe Kershaw's still out, isn't he?
Or
is he back?
He just came back.
I know Justin Turner came back recently.
I want to say Kershaw pitched Sunday.
All right,
I want to say.
I know Turner was out and he's back, but they're at 500 right now. They're only 2 games out.
Yeah.
So they're still very much everyone's in the race out there. Let's go back over to the American League in the East. The Red Sox and the Yankees.
Pretty much a 2-horse race out there in the American League East with our teams there.
Just like the early 2000s there. The top 2 in the East. Boston started off 17-2 and had, I believe, a 7-game lead. They got no hit by Sean Manaea and the A's out west.
That was beautiful. I watched the ending of that live.
I told you about it. But Yeah, and then, while the Red Sox, they weren't playing bad. They played about 500 ball. But while that was happening, the Yankees went on their own 17-2 run, and suddenly they were back in it.
When you guys were, I think it was 17-2 or 3.
It was 17-2. Yes.
You guys were 17-2. We were 9-9.
Yes.
And then we went on a tear where pretty much anyone in our path just got.
And I will say it was very impressive. I think you played 18 games in a row or 20 games in a row,
something like that. Yeah.
Went, I think, 18-3 overall or something. It was a ridiculous stretch is the point.
We lost a game to the Astros. We lost a game to the Red Sox. And then I don't remember where else we lost off the top of my head.
Might have been the Indians, was it?
No, we swept with the Indians.
Well,
I believe we had 2 walk-offs that series because we walked off on May 4th and we walked off on the 6th.
I saw Gleyber Torres' walk-off home run, which upset me because the Yankees were losing going into the bottom of the 9th.
Yes, they were.
And I remember I was working out watching it, and they won, and I was upset. But
was that the one on May the 4th?
I believe it was. But it was a day game, I think. But that's beside.
No, that was the Sunday game.
Well, whatever. Besides the point.
Neil Walker walked us off on May the 4th.
He did. Yes, someone doubled and he had a base hit or something.
Yeah.
The point is, both those teams are in for, I think, a season-long slugfest in the East. They play each other again the end of June, first weekend of July in the Bronx, and then a big 4-game set the first weekend of August at Fenway.
Oof.
And that one, depending on how the standings go, that one could really turn the tide in one team's favor for the division.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Yankees are in a very good spot right now where we're winning games despite having struggles throughout the lineup. Stanton hasn't really gotten hot yet. Gary hasn't really gotten hot yet. I think Tyler Austin was just he was in an 0-for-19 that he just broke out of. And they're still winning. They're finding ways to win. I just think if the Yankees can add we need a frontline starting pitcher. We have Luis Severino, who is having, in my opinion, I think he's going to take the Cy Young this year. If he keeps pitching the way he's been pitching.
He's certainly the front runner for it right now.
I think so. But if the Yankees do not add a frontline starting pitcher, I do not see them getting far in the playoffs. Because when the playoffs are happening, pretty much every game is do or die. I don't care if it's game 1 of the series or game 5. You need to win.
Yes. I mean, I think that, even though I'm a Sox fan, I think if the Yankees add a frontline starter, that'll put them in a good spot. And with the prospects they have, because Brian Cashman stole from teams a couple years ago at the trading deadline, unbelievably, the players he was getting in return for rentals, like Carlos Beltran especially, getting 3 top prospects for him.
Yes, he did.
Played 50 games for Texas or whatever.
I break your stones about that.
You do. The Yankees have the prospects to pull off a big trade if needed. I guess there's a rumor about Cole Hamels potentially.
I've heard that the Yankees are talking to the Rangers about Cole Hamels. Now, I haven't heard names discussed of who would be going anywhere for who, but I personally, if I had... I'm going to play GM really quick. If I'm Brian Cashman, here's the way I look at it. Cole Hamels, let's be real. His best days are behind him. You're not going to get the Cole Hamels from like 2008 and 2009.
You're not getting Phillies Cole Hamels.
You're not getting Phillies Cole Hamels when he was in his prime. His best days are behind him. And I think Brian Cashman knows that. I think he knows that he's running a hot hand right now. He's pitching as good as he's going to pitch. And for the money, I believe, I don't know what he's owed. I think he's got, another year or 2 on his contract?
I think there's 1 year after this year. I'm not sure, but I'll have to look into that. But.
Well, regardless, Brian Cashman I don't see Brian Cashman parting with a Clint Frazier, with a Justice Sheffield, with an Estevan Florial for Cole Hamels. If I'm Brian Cashman, if I can swing maybe Chance Adams and Brandon Drury and maybe a lower level prospect or 2, and if the Rangers bite at that, I do that all day long.
Well, Drury's expendable now with the way Andujar has come up and playing.
I have been saying it for weeks. Miguel Andujar is the starting third baseman for the New York Yankees, and I would trade Brandon Drury so fast your head would spin. I do not think Brandon Drury is going to have a spot on this team. He's a very good player. I believe, as of the other day, he had, a 26 or 27 game on-base streak. And he still does not have a spot on this team.
And you know what? And that is no fault of his own.
It's no fault of his own because Miguel Andujar, he's just been playing so well that he hasn't done anything to lose the job.
And I'm sure at this point any team would take Drury with that, a 27-game on-base streak. You're good. That's what you play you want on your team.
His OPS is almost 900.
And at June, that's a very impressive OPS to be having in June.
And he was a good player. The reason why he went on the DL is he was having vision problems. He had concussion issues, and they were causing problems with his vision. He was a good player before that. And now he's down in AAA. He's back. I checked last night. He was batting .312 with 3 homers and 13 RBIs. But his OPS was almost 900.
And typically, you're on a major league team with those stats.
Oh, yeah, all day long. But, yeah, I personally think at this point Cole Hamels makes the most sense. Because he's not going to be too expensive. Because if knowing Brian Cashman, he'll make sure that the Rangers are going to eat some of that contract. And Cashman, knowing how he is, he'll say, look, this guy, his best years are behind him. He's owed a lot of money. You guys, if you want us to take him, we're going to give you so-and-so prospects and players, and you guys are going to have to eat his money. I don't know whether or not that will happen. That's just what I believe. But
and another advantage would be he would be a veteran presence and a pretty young clubhouse overall.
Right now, the two, I believe the longest tenured Yankees on this team, I know one of them is Brett Gardner.
Brett Gardner's definitely.
Brett Gardner, I know Dylan Sabathia, obviously.
Sabathia was 09, yeah.
Betances? Yeah, Betances.
Probably
He's been around a while. He's
been
around 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, most of these guys, they're pretty new to the team.
Yeah, I mean, whether or not they came up through the system or
they might
trade or free agency.
Might not be new to the franchise, but as far as the big league club goes, yeah.
Yeah. The Yankees are a young team stacked with just young talent. And I think that if Cashman can add a frontline starting pitcher, I think the rest of the league is in big trouble.
Yeah, I mean,
more trouble than they're already in.
I mean, I'm sure we're going to have a lot of Red Sox and Yankees talk throughout the season with the way the two teams are heading. Let's jump onto the wild card standings real quick. If the season were to end today, the American League wild cards are the Yankees and the Astros.
Ugh.
And if the end today, the National League wild card is the Atlanta Braves and the Chicago Cubs. Other teams really in the American League, it's not much of a race. The Angels are 3 back. Oakland's 5.5 back, but after that, you're at Detroit 8 back, and it goes worse from there. Over in the National League, it's a lot closer. More teams are in it. The Phillies a game and a half out. Cardinals a game and a half out. Colorado 3.5 out. The Giants 4.5. The Dodgers 4.5. Pittsburgh 4.5. The Mets 7.5 or 7, and it goes down from there. So there's still a lot of teams for that second wild card in the National League, but the American League, the divisions might be a closer race, especially in the Central, than for the wild card.
Here's the crazy thing about the wild card this year is that I think there is a decent chance that the way that the Yankees, Red Sox, and a big factor of this will be how the Mariners play. We know the Astros have players, and we know the Astros are going to be there in the playoffs. It's just a matter of if the Mariners can hold up. But the Yankees and Red Sox both have a chance to win 100-plus games this year.
That is
correct.
There is
a decent chance that if the Mariners can keep up the way that they're playing, that the wild card game could feature 2 teams with 90-plus wins. One of them might have 100 wins. That is mind-boggling.
Just like, it was a couple of years ago. The third-place Chicago Cubs faced the second-place Pittsburgh Pirates in the wild card game, and they both, I believe, had 98 wins.
Yep.
Because the Cardinals won the division with 102 wins.
Yep.
And that's absolutely insane. To have a team season where the team won 98 games come down to 1 game.
Keep this in mind also. The Yankees, the Yankees and the Red Sox, they both have managers who are in their first years. But, it's not that surprising that both of these managers are having such success because, let's face it, Aaron Boone and Alex Cora, they were handed cakewalk jobs.
Not only that, but both managers played for the teams they're managing.
Yes, they did.
So, I know maybe the ownership might be different or the management might be a little different, but they've played for that organization before.
Yes,
and I think that's definitely an advantage when you're taking over the job.
Yeah, because you know the atmosphere of a clubhouse, and especially 2 high-profile teams like the Yankees and the Red Sox. You know what it's like to be in that clubhouse during a playoff race.
Absolutely. Let's go over some of the league leaders next.
I'll take over this, Chris.
Sure.
So for batting average, do you want to do AL or actually this is I have.
We can go AL or
Okay.
all of it. Doesn't make a difference.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm going off my at bat app.
That is fine.
But I don't know how to get to NL.
The MLB at bat app. Go download it.
There's a free.
Yes.
This is actually the Major League lead. It's actually just showing that most of the stat leaders are all from the American League.
Conveniently enough,
there we go.
There you go.
You know what you're doing. Right, so we're as soon as this loads.
Well, we're gonna go with the American League first.
Yeah.
The junior circuit. We'll start off some batting average. Mookie Betts still leads the league with a 359 average. However, he is on the 10-day DL. He cannot come back off until at least June 8th. He has a left abdominal strain, I believe it is. Nick Castellanos is next. Gene Segura. Jose Altuve, perennial batting champion. He's at 332 right now. And Andrelton Simmons rounds off the top 5 with a 330 average. He's a surprise, I think, with the bat.
Yeah, I mean, he was always a highly touted prospect when he was with, I believe, was he with the Braves?
He was with the Braves. He was with the Braves,
Yep,
yes.
He was always, but he was more known for being a defensive guy.
He was. When he came over, he was, I think they got him for his defense, but he's shown the bat this year.
Yeah.
As of today, he's got 4 homers and 34 RBIs to go with the 330 average. See, we'll go back the home runs. J.D. Martinez.
Yawn.
Oh, please. He's on fire. He leads all of baseball with 20 home runs. But Jose Ramirez, the Indians, right behind him with 19.
Yeah, I mean, Jose Ramirez, he was one of those guys that last year he just... Didn't he finish like 3rd in the MVP voting?
I believe he did. Yeah, he was up there.
Yeah, it was him, Judge, and Altuve that were the top 3 for the MVP, if memory serves correct.
I believe that is correct, yes. Mike Trout, who's always up there, he has 19 home runs. Machado with 18, and we'll get into Manny Machado in a minute. Mookie Betts rounding up the top 5 with 17, and I'd love to see what Mookie Betts would have if he hasn't missed the last, I believe, 10 games or so with that injury. Talk about RBIs as well. J.D. Martinez leads that with 52. Manny Machado at 49. What's that? Mitch Haniger has 43 at the Mariners. That's a surprise, I think. Jose Ramirez 43, and Chris Davis of Oakland. The Oakland Chris Davis has 42.
KHRIS.
Yes.
Chris Davis from the Orioles is horrific this year.
Yeah, he's got a big contract out there. Something else to discuss when we get to talk about Baltimore.
Yep.
Anyway, runs scored. We got Mookie Betts still tied for the league with runs scored 52. He's tied with Mike Trout. Got a feeling that Mike Trout and Mookie Betts are going to be in a tight race all year, but with if I had to pick an MVP at this point in the season, or a couple, we're talking about Mike Trout and Mookie Betts.
But as much as I don't want to admit it, Mookie Betts he might be, I don't think he's up there with Mike Trout yet, but he's treading in that direction, the way he's gotten going this year.
I agree with that. I think Mike Trout has a clear edge, though, because I believe, if I'm correct, Mike Trout has played every game this year for the Angels, and Mookie Betts is hurt, and that's going to hurt your chances when the year comes along. Talking about runs scored still, Lindor from Cleveland, 46. George Springer, 46. Gene Segura, 44 from the Mariners. Jose Ramirez. You're hearing a lot of repeat names here up the top of a lot of categories.
Yeah, we're still early in the year. A lot of these statistics.
No, of course, yeah.
They'll even out as the season goes.
The last one we'll do it now for the AL's on-base percentage. Mike Trout, he's up top, 447. Mookie Betts, there he is again, 437. Aaron Judge of the Yankees, a 402 on-base percentage, despite, he's striking out a lot and whatnot, but he's still got an on-base percentage above 400.
Yeah.
Andrelton Simmons, there he is again, 399. Yep. And Daniel Robertson, yeah. David Robertson, the pitcher for the Yankees. Yes, Daniel Robertson, Tampa Bay, 397. I don't know if you want to have a note about Judge there. You're going to maybe talk about.
Aaron Judge, overall, I think he's off to a better start than he was last year. I mean, this is going to be rough for me to try and defend because I think it was Monday. He went 0 for 9 with 8 strikeouts in a doubleheader.
Yeah, that's going to hurt your average a little bit.
Just a tad, but he's seeing the ball better. I've noticed from most of the games I've watched, he's laying off a lot of these. Last year, pitchers, they try and throw him the breaking pitch low and out, and he'd always just hack at it. I noticed he's been doing that a lot less this year. But the strikeouts are still there. That's what you're going to get with a power hitter.
Again, you got to think that, pitchers know him a little better this year. Last year he was a rookie.
Yeah.
That's why he was off to such a hot start. No one could figure him out right away.
Yeah.
And the home run derby hurt him also.
He's already said he's not doing the home run derby next year, which I'm happy about.
Let's jump over the NL real quick for some of the league leaders. I cannot say that to save my life right now.
That's a tongue twister.
Matt Kemp. Almost, I think, a resurgence of his career over the Dodgers. Him and Scooter Gennett from the Reds.
There are two guys that, if you asked me at the beginning of the year on June 5th, June 6th, excuse me.
Who's leading in batting average?
In average, I would have not guessed those two.
Leading with a 344, Freddie Freeman from the Braves. I think he is a tremendous player that doesn't really get the credit he deserves.
No, he doesn't. Just because the NL, they're actually, he's overshadowed over there with like Harper and Like,
Yeah,
who else is over there?
well, you got to think about Harper in the Nationals, and you got the top 3 pitchers for the Mets, and
Yeah,
you don't
and he's in an NL West that's stacked
East
with players. NL East, wow.
But and the Braves aren't really supposed to be a good team this year either. So him and then Nick Markakis of the Braves.
Here's the name. I thought he was going to go to the Braves, and I mean, not that he was bad, but
not fourth in the NL in batting average. He's batting .328. Nolan Arenado, he's a perennial MVP candidate.
Oh yeah,
.327 for them. Bryce Harper leading in home runs. We'll talk about him in a little while. He's in a contract year.
Yeah.
Villanueva of the Padres, he's got 15.
He's a rookie, Christian Villanueva.
He is. Ozzy
only batting .244 though. Or last I checked, it was .244.
Well, some of those power hitters do have low average.
Ozzy Albies
of the Braves, he's at 14.
Another one of their rookies. That's
Baez of the Cubs at 14.
Yep.
And Travis Shaw from the Brewers. I miss Travis Shaw in the Sox lineup. He's got 14 home runs also.
You got Mitch. You guys have Mitch Moreland. He's
true.
Much, I mean, I don't want to say he's like pretty much the same, but
I mean, he's got. He's
the left-handed first baseman with some pop.
He's in double digits for home runs. Yeah. Let's talk about Bryce Harper and Manny Machado for a minute here. Both of them are in contract years. I know Harper's agent is Scott Boras. I'm not sure what Machado's, if it's Scott Boras or not as well. It might be, but look, I don't like Bryce Harper.
I do.
I know you do. I'm not saying he's not a good player, because he is. But I mean, I think what is he bat? He's batting, I think, 250 or something along those lines.
I don't think his average is that good.
And this guy is projected to get like $350 million. I'm sorry, but no way, not a chance.
I think he'll get it. Maybe not 354, maybe not 400 like they're saying.
That was at one point what they were talking about.
That this guy was going to reel in almost $500 million on like a 10 or 12 year contract.
Not a chance.
I don't think that happens. I think he at least gets the 300.
Well, you've got Manny Machado batting .323. He could play shortstop or third base. Yeah. I know he wants to play shortstop. But 18 homers, 49 RBIs. His OPS is over 1,000.
I'll say this about Harper and Machado. I think because they're both in contract years, I think obviously the Orioles they're done.
They are done. They're absolutely done.
It's June 6th. They're done. They're what did you say? 22 and a half out.
Something like that. Yeah, they're over 20
They're not
years
making
out.
the playoffs. It's not happening. If they do not trade Manny Machado before the trade deadline, if they do not trade him before the All-Star break, I will be shocked.
Yeah, I will be also. You got to get your value for him while you can. See, the Nationals have a more interesting dilemma. I don't believe they think they're going to be able to re-sign Bryce Harper, who, by the way, is batting .229.
Oh, okay.
With an OPS of .882. But they're still in the race.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, do you want to keep Harper knowing you're not going to keep him, and you're going to get, a compensation pick for him?
Some of these comp picks, they do end up working out.
Yeah, but there's no guarantee. I know, who'd you get? You got, Aaron Judge for, a Nick Swisher comp pick or something? Yeah, something disgusting like that.
Note, I saw today, not to get too off topic, that due to compensated picks or whatever, the Red Sox, in a matter of however long, turned Nomar Garciaparra into Chris Sale.
I did see that, yes.
Because I believe the pick that you guys got from us for Ellsbury was used for Michael Kopech, the kid that you traded for Sale. So technically, we got you guys Chris Sale.
Yes, I did see that. Starting back with Nomar in 2004 when he was traded all the way up to last year, it connected Nomar to Chris Sale. It's a great article. It's good read. Check that out.
Yes, I saw that earlier and I was like, oh, you've got to be kidding me.
But going back to Bryce Harper, yeah, he's 100 points lower than Manny Machado on average. They're about the same stats, but, Machado's getting on base. But he plays for a team that's not going anywhere. Bryce Harper, the Nationals, they're tied for first place. So do you want to hold on to Harper and just get a comp pick and hope you go all the way and win the World Series? Because otherwise, you can get a good amount for him, knowing you're not going to re-sign him.
See, here's the thing. Here's an interesting dynamic, though, is that the Phillies, they're another big surprise in the NL East. They've got that kid Aaron Nola, who's a pretty good pitcher, who I've seen. They have Jake Arrieta, who, Jake Arrieta is Jake Arrieta.
I forgot he was in Philly.
I believe it. But you have those pretty much a good 1-2 punch in starting pitchers.
You do, yes.
If they can maybe add another bat or maybe another arm, that could be a 3-horse race out there in the NL East. And Yoenis Cespedes is supposed to be coming back this week, I was told, from a buddy of mine who he's a big Mets fan. And that's another factor. Could the Mets dig themselves out of this hole?
They're not in a too deep of hole they can't get out of yet.
So you're potentially looking at 4 teams trying to that could come out of the NL East. If you really, because let's be real, the Mets, they started off hot. They've been a dumpster show since.
Yes.
But if they could get things back on track, maybe add a player or two. I'm not saying crazier things in baseball have happened.
Like the Phillies overtaking a 7-game lead in September.
Yes.
A couple years back.
Yes.
But yeah, you know, in that division, say the Mets are 7.5 back at the moment. But if they play Atlanta or Philly or Washington, they sweep them. Well, now you're talking about 4 games instead of 7, and suddenly you're switched right around.
And the Nationals, if they can't bring back Harper, July 31st, or isn't it August 1st now?
No, I believe it's July 31st again.
Still?
I'm not sure what it was a couple years ago.
Yeah. End of July, early August, they're going to have a big decision to make. Do they want to pretty much roll the dice for a playoff push, a World Series push, knowing that Bryce Harper is not coming back, and knowing that all they're going to get is a compensated pick in the draft? Or do they want to say, you know what, we're going to trade him, and we're going to take our prospects, or whatever they can get for him?
I mean, I guess we'll have to, time will tell when we get closer to the trading deadline and where the standings sit at that point, and we'll talk about that a lot more as it gets closer. Yeah. Let's change gears now. The MLB draft was just a couple days ago. The Detroit Tigers had the first pick. They picked right-hander Casey Mize from Auburn. Among other picks, we had the Giants number 2. They took a catcher, Joey Bart from Georgia Tech.
Supposedly, he's going to be set up to be Buster Posey's replacement.
I was thinking, Buster Posey's getting...
I saw this kid's stats, and he's unreal.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, some of these kids are, not quite as well known coming out of college and high school. Some other picks that I know I heard about, the Padres, the 7th pick, took left-handed pitcher Ryan Weathers out of Loretto High in Tennessee. A lot of high school kids went in the first round. I know the Sox took a high school pick for their first 2 picks. The Marlins had a high school pick out of Florida, Connor Scott. Texas Rangers took a pitcher, Cole Winn, from Lutheran High in Texas, in Orange, California. The Rays took Matt Libator from Mountain Ridge High School in Glendale, Arizona. A lot of high school picks went in the first round this year.
The Yankees' first round pick, who I will get into in a minute, he's also a high school player.
Yes,
truth be told, I don't know where his high school's out of. It's called Carterville High School.
It's Cartersville, Georgia. Anthony Siegler, catcher.
He's a catcher who is a switch hitter. He can also pitch, and he can pitch with both arms.
That is impressive. That's only Pat Venditti. Yes, Pat Venditti is the only person who I think has done that so far.
So pretty much what the Yankees did was he's going to start out as a catcher, from what I understand. If the Yankees choose to, they can have, because this kid, I saw his stats from his last year. He can rake. They potentially have a switch pitcher, switch hitting catcher. So pretty much take Shohei Ohtani and Pat Venditti and just smash them up. And that's what the Yankees got in this kid. He's only 18. So you don't know what...
We don't want to get too ahead of ourselves here with that.
We don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, but Brian Cashman, once again, proving that he's a top GM in this league, who I've always been a fan of.
Oh, let me tell you something, everyone listening. Andrew over here once wished death upon Brian Cashman for not making moves. He's like, I'm going to send Brian Cashman hate mail, death threats, etc.
This was when...
He never followed through on that. I'd like to point that out.
This was when he used to, at trade deadlines, his big reel-in was like Lance Berkman.
Hey, there was that one year, it was Stephen Drew for, what's his face? I can't remember.
Stephen Drew for oh my God, what was his name?
I can't.
It was the Yankees Red Sox trade.
Yes, it was.
I don't remember his name.
I'm blanking on it too. He played for every team in the East, though. I know that.
Yes, he did.
I don't know why I'm blanking on it right now.
I can't remember. What
was
his name?
That shows how important it was. That was a big deal the Yankees made that year.
Because you were over my house all day that day. We were watching the trade deadline coverage.
So that player, I'm sorry, I can't remember your name.
And I remember distinctly. This was at like 4:30 because we hadn't left yet.
It came after the 4 o'clock deadline.
We both, it happened, we were like, are you
Kelly Johnson.
Kelly Johnson, yep. And we were both like, are you kidding me?
Like, that's the move. And it was the first trade the Sox and Yankees made in a long time, but that's besides the point.
Yeah.
Let me jump back to the first pick in the draft. Casey Mize from Detroit. Yeah, taken by Detroit in the first overall selection from Auburn University. let's see, he led the Auburn Tigers, because coincidentally enough, Auburn is the Tigers.
Yep.
He led them in ERA in 2016 with a 3.52, had 59 strikeouts in 16 games. So 59 strikeouts, 16 games. I know it's the college level, but he All-American honors from both Rawlings and Baseball America. Mid-90s fastball. He's got 2 advanced secondary pitches, a slider and a splitter, that scouts apparently love. I don't know much about him, but interesting, because the Tigers got the first pick for just absolutely tanking last year. They were horrible.
They were absolutely terrible, as they are this year.
Well, but with the weak Central, they're not out of it.
Yeah, very true.
No, I'm not saying Mize will show up this year.
The Indians aren't playing up to their potential.
No, that is also true. But Mize is projected to be a front of the rotation starter.
Yeah.
And I mean, you got Fulmer over in Detroit too, right?
Yeah, so, Michael Fulmer, he's been linked to the Yankees a few times.
I think I did hear about that a little bit.
But that was more so in the offseason. And they wanted a king's ransom for him, and I did not. I mean, he's got good stuff, but he's not. It's not like we're trading for like Max Scherzer here. Yeah. They wanted like Clint Frazier. They wanted Chance Adams. They wanted a buttload of prospects for him, and Brian Cashman was like, "Yeah, no."
Yeah, I mean, well, Brian Cashman committed grand theft larceny with some of the prospects he's gotten. So
sorry.
I know you're high on the 3 he got for Carlos Beltran.
With Dylan Tate, Eric Swanson, and the third one, his name escapes me at the moment. But Eric Swanson, he just got promoted to AAA recently. And before he got promoted, he was in the middle of, I want to say he had 26 innings scoreless.
It was something along those lines. Yeah, I know.
I remember texting you about it and breaking your stones about it.
I know, because, the Sox and Yankees are close right now in the races together, but the Red Sox don't really have any prospects at the moment to really speak of. We traded a lot of them away for Kimbrel and then Chris Sale.
Yeah.
One of our top prospects, Jay Groom, a 19-year-old pitcher, he is now done for the year. He had Tommy John surgery recently, but he was still probably a couple years away anyway. So, not a lot of big names coming through the pipeline for Sox. We do have another prospect. Jalen Beeks is starting this week in place of Drew Pomeranz, who went in the disabled list.
I saw that.
But I think he's just up for a cup of coffee right now, especially after Stephen Wright's 7-inning shutout performance last night against Detroit. But again, the Yankees, you guys got Clint Frazier, who was just up for the doubleheader, and you sent Tommy Kahnle down to the AAA because
we sent him down. I found out why, because I saw that he got sent down, and I was ready to flip a table. But he got sent down. He's only pitched in, I want to say, 8 or 9 games this year. He's got an ERA right around 7 or 8 right now, but he was hurt. And the Yankees don't think that his arm strength is fully back yet, so they just sent him down so he can get some work in.
It makes sense. No, it makes sense. It just, with all the talent the Yankees have in their farm system, the Red Sox tried to restock that with the draft, and we'll see how it plays out in the future.
See, the thing that sucks for the Red Sox is that you guys don't have a lot of trade chips around for the deadline, whereas the Yankees, they have players that they have prospects that are expendable.
That is true. Granted, right now, neither team really needs to make a move.
I disagree. I think the Yankees desperately need a number 5 star, or they need another pitcher.
That is that's without question. The Red Sox could use a pitcher also, but our offense is just so hot right now, they don't need that.
With the Yankees, especially with Jordan Montgomery yesterday, was announced they need Tommy John surgery.
Yes.
So, and the way that he's been pitching, I do not think Domingo Germán is ready to be the 5th starter in a playoff race. His problem is he pitches well, but one bad inning always kills him, and I just think he'd be better off as a long relief guy for now.
Well, that's what he was before he got pushed to rotation also.
Yeah, he got off to such a hot start. I mean, his first start was that game against Cleveland that...
and it was a great start.
Yeah,
the first one.
I think it was like 6 or 7 no-hit innings, and they took him out. And then they ended up blowing the lead.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. They had to take him out with a... It was still attacked when he came out, wasn't it?
I want to say it was. My memory isn't too sure.
He might have given up 1 hit. I'm not sure. But I know he was through 5 with no hits.
Yeah.
Let's stay in the East, because I want to bring up Baltimore again. Not only is Manny Machado in a contract year, Buck Showalter's also in his last year of his contract. GM Dan Duquette's last year of his contract. So, Baltimore has got a lot of things going on at the end of this season.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that they're going to get rid of Buck because this is not his fault. He's a great manager. He always has been a great manager. He doesn't have much to play with. He's got Manny Machado, Adam Jones. I mean, his lineup's okay. But, I mean, at the end of the day, you can't blame him. What can he do?
No, I mean he's not. He could put
His
up.
pitchers are horrible.
He can only put up the best lineup he's given. I mean he doesn't make the trades. That's Duquette's job. You know, the front office out there.
I think Dan Duquette is probably toast.
But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see Buck go also. Just I think maybe the Orioles are going to just do a whole rebuild. They're going to have prospects from Machado. You'd assume.
Yeah.
Start new manager, new general manager. Start from the ground up. They'll probably be horrible again next year.
Do you think that they trade Mark Trumbo?
He's
another big bat.
His contract isn't that terrible. I think it was a 3-year deal for I think $47 million. Because no one really expected Baltimore to re-sign him. I don't think.
Yeah.
They did. It depends what they get for him, or if a team wants him to eat some of the money and whatnot.
He's got 30-40 home run power.
He does. I'm not sure what he's at this year so far, off the top of my head.
I would look, but my service down here isn't good. The Wi-Fi.
Yeah, our Wi-Fi in the studio is not helping us right now.
Studio.
This is a studio, damn it.
Yeah, studio.
Third studio been in today. Also, this is End of the Day Entertainment with a warning track. We also have Give Me a Mic, the Pro Wrestling Podcast.
Shameless plug here.
Another video for the E3 convention, the preview show. That's available also.
Is it up already? Are these
it is not. They'll be up at the same time as this. When you're hearing this, they will be up.
Oh, okay.
I'm a busy man. End of the Day Entertainment. But anyway, what else do we want to discuss here in our first episode of the warning track?
We wrote down some talking points here. We talked about Harper Machado trades, biggest surprises so far. Did we really get into that?
We didn't really get into the biggest surprise. We should discuss those. 'Cause there are some teams that really no one expected to be in a race, and they are.
I'll start this off.
Sure, let's go. Yeah.
When I heard that Robinson Cano was suspended for 80 games for PEDs, for one thing, I had the biggest smile on my face. Sorry, Robbie. Shouldn't have left New York. But my second thought was, okay, the Mariners are probably done. That's their best offensive hitter. They have been on a tear ever since.
They have gone, yes.
They are now in first place as it sits right as this recording sits. They are in first place by 2 games.
I mean, we'll see if they can hold that up the rest of the year.
I mean,
they're in the same division as defending World Series champion Astros. So,
but the Astros, they've been having bullpen problems.
That is true. The Red Sox took advantage of that over the weekend. Will Harris, who was on fire, he gave up a home run to Christian Vasquez. That was his first homer of the year. And then followed that up giving up a second deck shot to Andrew Benintendi.
My personal favorite was Ken Giles giving up that home run to Gary Sanchez in Houston.
Also, you just played Houston.
Himself in the face after.
Yeah, you guys played Houston also. And
yes, we took 5 of 7 from the Astros, which made me feel very good.
They've got a dominant starting rotation. The Sox gave Charlie Morton his first loss.
Good.
Verlander, he still went 6 innings and kept us in check, and the bullpen blew that for him.
I want to go out on a record and say that Charlie Morton is a big disappointment for not going on national TV and cheating like he has been all season with the Pine Tar. You cannot tell me that this guy who came to Houston or that went to Houston as a number 5 pitcher at best is suddenly a perennial Cy Young candidate or an all-star. You cannot convince me. I'm sorry. They are putting something on the balls in Houston. Justin Verlander was at a crossroads in his career when he went there. He was god awful last year when he got to Detroit. When he was in Detroit, he gets to Houston and it's like
goes undefeated in Houston.
He went undefeated. They are putting something on the balls in Houston. I hate the Houston Astros. There's this kid on Twitter. I'm going on a little rant here. There's this kid on Twitter. His name is @AstrosRants. One word. He is I hate this kid. I had to block him, but I still look at his tweets. Oh my god. The Astros, I hate the Astros almost as much as I hate the Red Sox.
I would like to tell everyone at home listening why Andrew hates the Astros so much. And that is maybe some of you remember this, in 2014, there was a Sports Illustrated article published.
Oh no, we're going to get into this.
Oh yes, we are.
Oh, no.
That claimed the Houston Astros would be the 2017 World Series champions. Andrew over here tweeted that if the Astros won the 2017 World Series, he would get their logo tattooed across his back. Well, guess who won the World Series in 2017?
Let me tell you that after Game 7 that night, I woke up because I was that might have been the night. No, that wasn't the night that I came home from Florida because I was in Florida during the last few games of the World Series. And the morning after Game 7, I woke up. I looked at my phone. I had like almost 200 notifications on my Twitter because someone dug through Twitter and found that tweet, and it just went berserk.
It's amazing. By the way, update. Andrew still does not have that tattoo.
No, I do not.
Leave a comment if you'd like him to get that tattoo.
Yeah.
And we're talking. We don't have to talk about the current logo. We can get the old National League logo too.
Right.
Whatever works, or just the word Astros, word Houston. Anything works for me.
Between that, that horrific wild card game at Yankee Stadium that Keuchel pitched against
3-0 shutout.
I was so mad that game. All game. That was a horrible game.
Yes. So
Game 7 last year in Houston. That was that ALCS was some of the most stressful for me. That Game 7, I drank a beer an inning for 6 innings.
And I remember after Game 5, you came over to my house, and you were telling me how the rebuilding Yankees are 1 game away from the World Series and whatnot.
I was not wrong.
You were not wrong.
I was not wrong.
But that's as close as they got.
Yep.
They didn't go to the World Series. The Astros
they
did.
did not.
And, for me, too, I mean, the Astros bounced the Sox in the first round. Yeah. I was actually at the game where the Sox were eliminated from the playoffs.
Yes,
I was at Fenway. I was at Fenway that day. It was a sad day for me. And then the Astros eliminated your favorite team, the New York Yankees. So,
yes, they did.
And, I think the Astros, we'll see where the season ends up. I think the Astros make it to the ALCS again. I'm saying that right now.
I think it's going to be the Astros versus either the Yankees or the Red Sox. I do not think the Indians are good. I don't see them being good enough to beat either of us. I mean, we swept them already.
Not the way they're playing. No,
but pretty much it's a 3-horse. I think it's a 3-horse race in the American League.
Now, obviously, it's 5 teams make it, and once you get to October, anything can happen.
Oh yeah.
But I think the ALCS is gonna have to be the Astros, and then either the Sox or Yankees. I think that's how it's gonna be. But let's go. We're getting off topic here. We're talking about biggest surprises. We started with Seattle and got off topic there.
I talked about the Braves for a little while before, or the Phillies. Excuse me.
Yes, they are a surprise. So, but
the Braves are pretty much this year's New York Yankees from last year. They're the team that's not supposed to be here yet, but here they are. But
another team. How about the Rockies out in the West?
I mean, the Rockies. They're 31-29 right now as it sits. I mean,
they hung around last year, but didn't make it at the end.
The Rockies, they have the offense. They don't have a frontline starting pitcher, to my knowledge.
They do have that frontline closer, though. I believe Wade Davis is their closer now.
Yes.
They had Greg Holland last year, and they used to be teammates, Holland and Davis, with Kansas City.
Yep.
But yeah, they picked up Wade Davis. I think he's up near the league lead in saves.
I will check.
I'm not sure if he's top. I know he's up there. So they're a team that could, I think they're going to stay in the hunt all year long. They got Charlie Blackmon, I believe. Charlie Blackmon out there.
Do they? Yeah.
And then Nolan Arenado. So they've got some players.
Charlie Blackmon has an A+ beard.
Yes, he does.
Wade Davis is actually leading the NL in saves right now.
What is he at right now?
19.
19. I think is that leading all baseball?
It might be. Wait, I'm gonna sound like such a dummy here. I did not know that Brad Hand was a reliever.
Yes.
I thought he was a starter.
I think he has done both in his career.
I sound very uninformed right now, but
that's okay.
He's actually second in the NL in saves. He's got 18.
Well, Brad Hand isn't exactly, a household name, so I think it's okay. But yes, he's 18.
The league leader, the major league leader in saves is Edwin Diaz from the Mariners with 21.
I remember the Sox played Mariners a couple years ago. Before Diaz was officially the closer, he came in the 8th inning and just shut us down. And the announcers were talking about how Diaz will be a closer, and here he is. Now he is the closer and leading the league.
Another thing I did not know until just now, I did not even know that he was still on the team. Shane Green is actually the closer for the Tigers.
He is, and he's got 15 or 16 saves. 15.
Yep, and I just want to
former Yankee Shane Green.
Yeah, former Yankee who we got for Didi Gregorius. Oof. Or we traded for Didi Gregorius. Oof. Yeah. I will be the first to admit, when the Didi trade happened, I was kind of confused. And then the first few months of that season, I was very angry with Didi all the time. All the time. In fact, on Twitter...
All the time. Yes, I remember that.
All the time. I used to say DFADD. And I used to also refer to him as E6. Because he had a ton of errors that year. And he stunk his first few months as a Yankee. He stunk.
But now look at him.
He's not doing so hot right now.
No, but look, he had a tough job to begin with, replacing Derek Jeter. So he's gonna come under scrutiny regardless of what he does, because he's not the captain of the team and he's taking his spot.
Yeah.
But overall, I mean, he was the AL Player of the Month for April.
Yes, he was.
Hopefully, for your sake, he can go on tear again.
I firmly believe that the Yankees are not in the position they are right now if Didi Gregorius does not have the month of April that he did.
That is true. Yes, he had 10 home runs in April. What's he at now? Only a couple more.
I think he's
Since
got 10, 11 or 12.
yeah, so he's really cooled off significantly.
His batting average dropped like 100 points.
That's a bad month. Bad month of May for Didi. See
That's not ideal.
if he could rebound in June.
Yeah, hope so.
Now, wrap up the first episode with some just some news and notes from around the league. Something we got the Rangers releasing Tim Lincecum yesterday. So we'll see if any team picks him up.
I just read that earlier today that Bruce Bochy would support a reunion with Tim Lincecum.
Well, he certainly knows the Giants organization and won 2 Cy Youngs with them. So
And 2 Cy Youngs. Didn't he win 3 World Series technically?
I believe he was a part of all 3 of them. Yes.
Yeah. Something to speculate about.
Sticking with the Giants, they activated Mad Bum from the DL yesterday. I know he made a season debut.
I've heard that. I read last night that Alex Rodriguez said that he thinks that the Yankees might try and go after Mad Bum.
I don't see the Giants parting with him.
Yeah, I mean their division is so close.
And yeah, it's too close. I mean, if they go on a losing streak or something, then
if July 31st or August 1st, whatever the hell the trade deadline is now, if that date rolls around and they're out of it, maybe. But overall, I think that's a long shot.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's gonna happen. He's just too good. The Athletics selected the contract of Nick Martini and placed Matt Joyce on the 10-day DL. The Athletics also agreed to a minor league deal with Edwin Jackson. That guy has been on a lot of teams in recent years.
I'm going to sound like I'm a headline reader, but I also saw today that if Edwin Jackson makes the Athletics roster, he will pass, here's a name for you, Octavio Dotel for most teams played for.
No way.
Yep.
Really?
Yes.
Dotel played, what, 13?
Something like that, yeah.
That's ridiculous. I know.
Edwin Jackson's he's made his way around.
Well, I know there was one team, I think, a couple years ago, he was traded to the Blue Jays and then would flip for someone else. He was there for like less than 24 hours.
Yeah.
It was in the winter, I think. He never even played there.
Yeah.
But, yeah, the best you get of that is he never even put on a Blue Jays jersey.
Yep.
It was a Photoshop picture with him in a hat.
Yeah.
But yes, he was traded there and flipped somewhere else. I forget where it was. Phillies Alex Reyes undergoing surgery for a torn tendon. He's likely out for the year.
I thought he was on the Cardinals.
Maybe it is the Cardinals. I'm just reading some headlines here from around the league, just to go with let everyone else know what's going on. But the point is he's out for the year.
Yeah, Tommy John.
No, torn tendon.
Oh, okay.
Does not say it's a UCL or anything like that. It could,
okay, cool.
You'd know if it was Tommy John.
Yeah, that's true.
You know all about Tommy John. Jordan Montgomery undergoing Tommy John, and Sox pitcher Jay Groom, like I mentioned earlier, top prospect. He's under Tommy John. There's always names every year that get hit with Tommy John. And it seems like it's more and more. It's happening more and more in recent years. I feel like
it's always going to be a problem in the league. You got pitchers out there that they throw 100 miles an hour and these days you don't see guys in the 6th, 7th inning. You don't see their velocity going down anymore. These guys are out there. They're throwing 100 miles an hour on their 100th pitch. So it's something.
Yeah,
it's always going to be a problem.
Yeah, guys like Chapman come in for one inning, throw 103. I know Sox have Joe Kelly who throws over 100. Kimbrel can throw 100.
There was a kid on the Cardinals. He threw, I think, 104.
That is ridiculous.
I forget his name.
One of the guys, the prospects, the Red Sox traded to the White Sox for sale, Michael Kopech. He can throw, I think, 105.
He did that in the minors, I think, last year.
There was a video of him, too. It was him, he was on a football field just hanging out. And so it wasn't on a mound, but I think he threw the ball 110 miles an hour from flat ground. Wow. That is insane. Can you just forget being a baseball player trying to hit the ball? Can you imagine just that speed coming at you?
I would duck out of the way.
I would be not even in the batter's box, put it that way.
Another thing I saw today, there is talk that the Blue Jays could promote Vladimir Guerrero Jr. to AAA within the next month.
And he hit a bomb in spring training in Montreal.
Oh, such a problem when they have, I believe, 5 players who are sons of former MLB players. They have Jeff Conine's kid.
Jesus.
They have Roger Clemens' son Casey. They have Vlad Guerrero Jr. They have Bo Bichette, and they have Craig Biggio's son. The Blue Jays are not really there this year. Give it a few.
Give it a few years.
Vlad Guerrero Jr.
He has
a problem.
Well, he has Hall of Fame shoes to fill.
Yes, he does.
So
so far, he's living up to the hype of his last name.
He is. I mean, he was a hero at the end of spring training. He had a walk-off home run in Montreal. Oof. Boy, that place
wearing his daddy's number.
Yes, that place went ballistic.
Yes, they did.
It was a great moment. I loved it.
That was awesome.
But yeah, I think that's all the time we have for this episode of The Warning Track. We will be back as the season continues and keeps rolling on with, updated standings, trades, etc. So, yeah, thank you for listening. End of the Day Entertainment. Like us on Facebook, YouTube, all that. Subscribe, share.
SoundCloud
SoundCloud also,
too.
yes. We're trying to get out there in all those formats, so thank you for listening.